let's go.
We can't.
Why not?
We're waiting for Godot.
You sure he said it was here?
What?
That we were to wait?
Well, he said by the tree.
Well,
Like a bush.
What are you insinuating? That we've come to the wrong place?
Well, yes, actually, because I thought we were doing Happy Days rather than Godot in this video.
and so we are.
Yeah. So
But
as you can see, we've got a little family enthusiasm for plays by Samuel Beckett. So for the start of 2021, we decided to branch out a little bit, leave Waiting for Godot behind, waiting, and pick up Happy Days.
Oh, it's a weird play, isn't it?
It is a bit weird. It's odd. It's definitely odd.
Yeah, because
Was
Beckett's
Godot not odd?
with normal plays, yeah.
Steve, I can't hear you very well. Say that again.
Because Beckett is so well known for his normal plays. So,
True.
Let's hear it for Samuel and his odd drama.
Bizarre
makes you think.
plays that make you think. That's exactly what I was going to say, Steve.
Like they like make you think, but they're hard to have coherent thoughts about. You know what I mean? Like normally after I finished a piece of media, I can assemble like, here are my big clever thoughts that I'm going to have about this. And Happy Days really left me flailing with a bunch of like fragmentary little bits of thoughts that didn't all quite slot together. But then that kind of is and of itself appropriate to the play and its content, I suppose.
Yes, I think you're very right with that. It kind of promotes a flow of very small thoughts or very small reflections that kind of feed into a bigger narrative of oddness.
Despair.
Despair.
And entropy.
Does somebody want to say a little bit more about the play and when it was written and stuff like that? Ros, you're good at that kind of thing?
Oh, that's me then. So Happy Days is a 2-act play. It was first performed in 1961, and it has just two. It has a cast of 2, and the very, very striking visual image of the play is that the main character, the woman, is spends all of the first act kind of up to her waist in sand or earth, and then the second act is actually she's up to her neck in sand or earth, so she is static and stuck, and then the other character, her husband, kind of pops up occasionally crawling around in the background, so it's high concept drama, let's put it that way.
I think the fact that Willie is Winnie's husband is like, obviously it's clear by the end of the play, but it's quite ambiguous through a big chunk of the first act exactly what their relationship is.
Yeah, I immediately assumed that they were married, but I don't know whether I based that on anything in the text or just an assumption, or is it maybe on the character list?
I mean, it could well be on
I
the
wonder.
Or whether it just, I saw a male and female character on the stage and just, put them into a heterosexual relationship, married them.
So conventional, Tilly.
I know, yes. Let's say it's on the character list, shall we?
No, the cast says Winnie, a woman of about 50, and Willie, a man of about 60, and that is all it says. But
Wow.
I thought they were married because of their relationship, which is a little bit depressing to say, isn't it? And Steve, it's okay. It's not how I feel about our marriage, but it is one of the themes of the play is kind of being trapped in a rather sort of, in some ways, sterile relationship, although also kind of a mutually dependent one.
Yeah, so as you were saying, Winnie the woman is trapped in the earth, and Willie the man is able to move around, although seems to be quite apathetic and doesn't really have that much energy or interest in moving around or talking. And
He's got a hole, though.
It's like
He's got a hole.
yeah,
he's got a hole.
It's
that
hard,
she thinks to
isn't
go
it? Like,
into and not go head first.
right? Like, because like Winnie struggles to stop talking, and Winnie struggles to talk, and like Winnie
Yeah,
is
they're the
constantly
opposites of each other.
making incomplete references to like historical classics and stuff, and Willie can very comfortably exactly quote up-to-date newspaper stuff without any kind of real meaning attached to them. So it's like there's that like symmetry going on there.
Yeah,
But
which again is
equally,
what sets them up, I suppose, as a
And
a
he
married couple,
doesn't want
because
to, she can't move and probably does want to. It's all like
yeah,
his reading of the newspaper is equally repetitive, though, isn't it? It is the same news, effectively, that he's reading, the same adverts for jobs that he's reading. Then the assumption is it's the same newspaper he's reading, because there doesn't seem to be any way for him to get anything else. Yes, the bag will provide, but does it provide a daily newspaper?
I think no.
Someone had better explain the bag.
Yes, just going back to Winnie and Willie and their relationship, I was just thinking of saying it's like she is physically stuck and tied to where she is, but he's tied to her, and he can't seem to go away from her to get like a new newspaper, or to get, you know, like help for their situation, or to it's like
early on where she asks him about the possibility of doing that, if I remember rightly, but it doesn't kind of amount to anything.
there might be, I can't remember.
I didn't get any indication that they wanted to be saved or to have anything different. It was just an acceptance of that was their life for whatever reason. And for me, it's the seeking of solace through through mindless and endless repetition of things, to help cope with the global situation or the situation of their relationship.
Yeah, they're whistling in the dark, aren't they?
Yeah.
I read into Winnie perhaps excessively that she was, well, she's obviously discontented with the situation, but she keeps trying to frame things positively. And I read into some of her descriptions of the last people who walked past, the shower cooker people. She said something about that, how they walked away, and it, to me, I interpreted that as her kind of thinking, oh, what if they hadn't just walked away? You know, what if they had tried to like dig me out or something? But maybe that was, you know, me again reading too much into what she's saying. Or it seems like she's maybe not exactly looking for a solution, but constantly hoping that things don't get worse. And
that's the beauty of Beckett, isn't it? That's the beauty of Beckett, in that is so, it appears to be so stripped down and restricted in its content and its setting, but actually that allows you as an observer to project and to excavate whatever you want from that, or and so you can make an argument for both of those interpretations, I guess.
I think the kind of how I read it was that she was sort of keeping her spirits up, and was in some ways hopeful through the first act, and that she's more desperate in the second act, and you know that it's gone downhill, as it were, which would appear to, by the fact she's now, you know, she can only move her head from side to side. But I do know there have been performances that swap that round, that actually make the first act the more desperate one, and like the second act, one of them was kind of almost like a philosophical acceptance. So yeah, as you say, that's Beckett, isn't it? He's open to interpretation.
Yeah, I can see that actually, the idea that by the second act she's kind of come to terms with the position that she's in, and also just her capacity to find joy in the second act. It seems to be almost intensified. Like the few things that do go well, she reacts to so positively. It's almost like there's become this exaggeration.
I believe things will get better enough to be able to pray. You know, like it's like I think that it's like it's cute, but I don't think it's necessarily super well supported. I feel like I think definitely the default has to be that it's getting worse, not better.
Because
also, I think it's about a matter of existential choice, isn't it? To go back to the bag, Winnie has a bag which has got various things in it which she takes out and puts back. But one of the things that's in the bag is a gun. And in the first act, she is able to use the gun. So she has a degree of existential choice as to whether or not she lives or dies, because she can use that gun to end it if she chooses. Whereas in the second act, when she can only move her head, the gun is still there and is pointedly in the stage directions, close to her, but she can't use that. So that element of choice has gone for her. So she no longer has a choice as to whether she lives or not. So it's again, it's another the despair and the pointlessness of existence.
The thing that I liked about the gun was the kind of subverting of expectations, because like it's the absolute classic Chekhov's gun, isn't it? Like she pulls a gun out of the bag at the start and you're like, somebody's got a gun, somebody's gonna get shot, but nobody does. It never gets used. So
it's at that very end where Willie's reaching up towards her, and you've got that kind of those three choices of what might happen next. Is he like reaching up to touch his beloved wife? Is he reaching up for the gun to kill himself and end his misery? Is he reaching up for the gun to kill her and end her misery? And it's like, and the show cuts out before there's any opportunity to know which is going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't give you that resolution. It doesn't give you that conclusion that you would expect from normal drama. And if it did, it would almost make the play more of a less odd and more conventional.
Yeah.
That's your Sopranos, but your Sopranos got the ending for the TV series from, isn't it?
Oh, right. Yes. You're probably right.
Not having watched The Sopranos, I'm lost here.
It cuts to black with ambiguous whether or not the boss has been assassinated or not, basically.
I see.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, one of the things you were saying, Steve, was about the it seems simple but isn't, and part of that is in the language, isn't it? So, like Winnie, the character, her language is almost like breaking down, and she kind of keeps saying words fail me and things like that, or what are those wonderful words, and then half remembering quotations and so on. So it's really explicit that it's that sort of breaking up of her mind, of her language, of her sort of memory.
And her speeches are kind of peppered with half-finished sentences, and sentences that she seems to just get distracted from or lose the will or the interest to finish. So yeah.
But the things she does, like you, the reader, can recognize the things that she's trying to quote from often. And
you, the reader of your Ros with a classical education.
I was going to say Ros recognised them.
But
I found all these annotations that Ros had left, and I was like, "Oh, that's really helpful. Somebody's been through and told me what all these references are."
But you can kind of, the ones that are kind of like biblical, or for things like Paradise Lost or Keats or whatever, you can, I mean, even if you don't literally recognise exactly what it's from, you can pick it up, can't you? You can tell.
You can tell that they're references to stuff. You can't tell what they're references to necessarily.
Yeah.
So that kind of builds the idea of Winnie as a character, as a woman who's had this life before being encased in the ground, where she's like taken in all of these classic references.
Yes, she's read, I don't know, Thomas Gray, or it's all there, but it's gone. So that was something that I suppose gave it another layer for me that I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about the start and the sort of density of the stage direction? Because I
wanted to mention that, but you go ahead, Alf.
Well, I was like, I think there's always like, where with reading something that's a play rather than like normal prose, there's always like an adaptation period of kind of getting. Also, like if you're watching a play, sometimes there's like an adaptation period of getting into. I'm in the kind of watching a play mindset, and obviously that how difficult that is varies with like the text. And like my normal benchmark for kind of difficult is Shakespeare, which takes a little while because it's in complicated, Elizabethan English. But I felt like the start of this was, if anything, like even harder to grab onto, just because it's like half a sentence stage direction, half a sentence stage direction, half a sentence stage direction for about the first like 10th of the play or something. It's just absolutely non-stop. It like probably fragments your thinking. It like makes it very hard to connect with.
And the really interesting thing about that is there is so little to be directed. Like a normal play, you've got the whole of the stage, but this is really, it's super precise. Like, I should have an extract to read from, but it's like she picks up the brush, she smiles, she says like a couple of words, the smile drops off, she puts down the brush. Like it's every single little tiny facial expression, every single little tiny move that this woman who's, you know, unable physically to move around makes. And he has been really precise in saying what that actress should be doing.
Yeah, he obviously had a really, really strong vision of how he wanted this to look and feel and
how it should be.
Yeah. And he uses the objects in the bag again to kind of convey some of his sort of the atmosphere of the play. Like everything is running out. You know, the toothpaste is nearly empty and the lipstick's nearly empty and the toothbrush, the words are rubbed off the handle, and you know, so there's this decay.
Yeah, deterioration.
Yeah.
And like trying to read the toothbrush thing, you know, like.
Yeah, that's a substantial part of her activity for the first act of the play, is trying to read a tiny bit of text that we know she's read it before, because we know this is what she's been doing day after day, but she kind of goes through this pretense of needing to learn it.
Also, it's, you know, it's the words on the back of a toothbrush about how it's got, you know, high quality hog bristles. Like it's meaning free text, and
yeah, but she reads meaning into that, or tries to show that she has gained something from it.
There's also like, no, Steve, go ahead.
I mean, to me, and it's very much a play of its era. Cold War, Berlin Wall going up, all sorts of, you know, there's still a degree of destruction and devastation from the Second War. Very much a time of existentialism and things like that. And it's very much it's very post-apocalyptic to me. You know, these are people who are living in the rubble of a post-nuclear war or something like that. Things are running out. Things don't. They've got the memories. They've got the language. They've got the quotes, but they're all decaying, as you said. And that seems to me, in terms of the context of its time in 1961, 1962, it's very much a part of that sort of setting, if you like.
There is definitely something weird and apocalyptic going on. Like it's perpetual daylight, and there's like a bell that tells them when to sleep and when to be awake. And like they're talking about, is gravity weaker now? Like is the atmosphere going away? It's all like there's dystopian. This sort of, it's not even dystopian though. It's because it's like there's not like a controlling authority. It's just everything falling apart.
Oh, but the bell is a controlling authority, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, it definitely, because if she dozes off at the wrong time, it rings to wake her up. It implies that somebody is watching her and putting her through this deliberately, because they're aware of when she's going to sleep.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. I think the rest of it doesn't have that dystopian milieu though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interestingly, again, I think like recent productions have kind of drawn out the a kind of like a climate change, ecological disaster sort of theme from it, which I don't know whether that was. You can see that works, even if Beckett didn't perhaps have it in mind.
That was definitely my first reading, although like I now agree with Steve that the sort of, you know, nuclear era thing makes more sense from when it was written.
I don't know, I never kind of put that kind of external setting onto it. I kind of just accepted it as a Beckett play where weird things are happening and there doesn't have to be a context to it. But yeah, both of those work. Both of those, like particularly the nuclear one works pretty well.
Yeah.
But for me, everything in the late 50s, early 60s is against the concept of the Cold War, and people scared that everything's going to blow up at any time. You know, kids in America and kids here are having drills about what to do in case of a nuclear attack. So that it's, for me, it's everything from that era is within that context. But that might just be me straight jacketing stuff.
If the bomb that drops in Newfield are friends and neighbours too, there'll be nobody left behind to grieve. So we will all go together when we go.
Come around here with your Tom Lehrer quotes.
So I'm just thinking, it's, the sound on this probably isn't great, and I think we've been going for about 10 or 15 minutes now. So if anyone's got any other sparkling elements of discussion to add, we should probably add them and then maybe think about wrapping up.
Obviously, like, Beckett has beautiful language. It's very weird, but one of the things that struck me as being really Beckettish was, again, on the toothbrush. It's hog state or whatever is like the final sentence, and Winnie asks Willie to define it, and he defines what a hog is rather than what a state is. When anyone watching will know what a hog is, and very few people will know that a state is basically a bristle. And it's like, that's just such a a Becketty bit of construction.
Yeah.
Also, the stuff about like the need to sing and the ability to sing and the time to sing just struck me as a particularly beautiful bit of prose, but I now can't remember it.
Yes, I know what you mean. So Winnie's talking about the fact that she has a song that she likes to sing every day, but she doesn't want to sing it too soon because she doesn't want to, it's like she doesn't want to use up her resources too early on in the day. So she doesn't want to sing the song too early, but then she talks about how sometimes that means because she doesn't want to sing it too early, sometimes she never sings at all. And it's a very poignant expression of, like how humans like put off the good things sometimes and then run out of, in a life course sense, people run out of the time for the exciting things that they wanted to do in their life because they're kind of thinking, now's not quite the right time.
Yeah.
Hey, seize the day, everybody. Be happy now. Happy
Steve,
days.
that's what Beckett wanted us to do.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed reading this, and it was a good choice, I think, and it's nice to have a whole family discussion of it. It apparently the Independent described it as one of the top 40 plays ever, and I thought, ooh, I don't know about that. It's a 5-star.
I don't think I'd put it
one for me, but
it's an interesting play. I don't think it's quite.
Yes, it's not my top Beckett, so.
It's like, I don't know if it might top Beckett, but it might be the Beckettiest Beckett. You know what I mean?
It is very Becketty.
Yeah.
But isn't there one where you don't even see a person, you just see a mouth? There's just an illuminated mouth on the stage. So I think that's that's Becketty cubed, I think.
Yeah. That's
Anyway, it's been very lovely discussing this with all of you. And I'm just wondering whether anyone watching this on BookTube has read the play or seen the play or has any thoughts about the play. We would be interested to hear it.
Yeah, is it in your top 40? Bye.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.